Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Two Guys and a Lot of Wine. I'm your host, Bobby P.
And I'm James Kimbrough.
And we're joined by a friend and executive chef for both Pond House and the Pond House Grill in Glastonbury, one of the great chefs of the area, Mr. Jordan Stein.
Hi, gentlemen.
Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me out.
And you're in for a treat yourself, besides sharing your vast knowledge of food and wine pairings. You'll be tasting some wine with us tonight, and we're looking forward for you to taste them and give us your honest opinion. And honesty is our policy here on the show. So please feel free to be honest about the tastings. You will be offending no one. And as always, I want to give a shout out to one of our viewers out in California, San Diego, Sandy and John Grant. Thanks for watching. So, Jim, I'm sure you have some questions for Jordan, since I see him a little bit more than you. Why don't you lead into something right off the bat?
Well, the whole reason we had you on tonight, Jordan, is because we wanted to talk about BYO. And you run two very successful restaurants with a BYO policy.
We do,
and
certainly.
Do you want to just tell our audience what prompted you to start off with BYO?
Well, we did BYO. We were working on our liquor license in Elizabeth Park for quite some time, and it was our way to kind of attract a different clientele who wanted to have a bottle of wine with dinner. So we welcomed them to come into the dining room and order food and open a bottle of wine. After eventually, in years and years, we got our liquor license, we decided that we were going to keep that going. A, because we built the whole dining room on BYOB, and B, it was like a thank you to our patrons for the support through the years, and we just didn't want to take that away from them. And even the case, the cork fee at both the Pond House and the Pond House Grill is only $5.
Wow, that's very inexpensive.
Yeah.
And by doing this, you've gathered a lot of loyal customers over the years who
We certainly have.
have enjoyed, me being one of them, have enjoyed bringing wine both that we enjoy and tasting your spectacular food.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. And for this evening, actually, we're going to be tasting two sparklings and a white, which I think, well, I'm hoping will pair well with some of the Easter-type foods that might be coming up. We usually have a red, Jim, but we're not doing a red tonight, so I think the two sparklings and the Italian white, I think, will go pretty well. And I have a question for the Pond House Grill. How have you guys been doing since you opened up the BYOB restaurant up there?
We've been doing very well. It seems to be progressing very nicely. We're getting some wonderful feedback, and believe it or not, we're seeing a lot of faces from West Hartford take a trip on the other side of the river to say hello and show their support, and we're very grateful for that. And we appreciate everybody coming out and eating some food and cracking a bottle with us and spending some time over on the other side of the river.
And the menus are distinctly different, or do they share some of the same characteristics?
We do have some of the same things. Some of our signature things that you'll find in the park, i.e. crab cake, Indian rice, nachos in the park. Those things are both home in both spots. But the dining room in West Hartford and in Glastonbury, you'll find a lot of different things. But you will find eclectic madness in both of them. We pull ingredients from all over the world. We try to be seasonal and we try to be local. But as somebody who's a professional culinarian in the northeast part of the United States, you can't always do that.
Yeah.
Now, Jordan, your menu changes fairly frequently.
It certainly does.
What influences you to get those new items on the menu?
It's the same influence that made you wear this shirt today. When I go to sit down and write a menu, it's really how you feel. It's an attitude. When you write a menu, it reflects the attitude that you have that day when you're writing it. It can be dark, it can be colorful, it can be eclectic. It's really just a statement of your personality and your kitchen's personality. We're a little bit outside of the box, not only via employee style, but also food style. And we set our own bar, and we don't really go with trends. We kind of do what we want to do and hope that people like it. And for the most part, we've been pretty successful with that attitude in writing menus, and we'll continue to do it like that.
So do you try and incorporate local foods or foods from local farmers?
Certainly. In fact, this week we'll be running lamb all up through Easter. That's Connecticut raised lamb from Seppi Farm out in Sandy Hook. We're supporters of Urban Oaks in New Britain. We do a lot of local stuff when we can. We also, of course, if you've been to the Pond House in the park, we grow a lot of vegetables there in the summer. We compost in the kitchen, and it goes back to the earth and then comes back. So, and usually in the summer we have a very cool salad. It's called Just Picked, where you order the salad, but we don't cut the lettuce until you order it.
Wow.
So that's pretty good. And
It
it's been
doesn't get any fresher than that,
yeah,
does
it's been a fan favorite for a while. So we're hoping to, again, repeat that, and hopefully we'll get that going in Glastonbury, too, this year.
And when you sit down to design the menu, are you thinking of wines that you want to pair with these foods?
Absolutely not.
That was just the question I was going to go into.
Absolutely not. We cook food the way that we want to eat it. And I'm not a big fan of red wine with steak or white wine with fish. I think you eat what you want to eat and you drink what you want to drink.
That sounds like our principle here. You drink what you like and you buy what you like.
Yeah.
There really are no set rules. That's a very good
Well,
point.
it makes it a lot easier because you rack your brain. It's hard enough to work in a food service operation that's successful. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of things that people who aren't in our line of work, they're not exposed to, so they don't understand the intricacy of chefing a professional high-volume restaurant. But right now, we try to take a little bit from all over the world. So, for instance, in the Pond House Cafe in the park, all of the wines that are inside the cafe dining room by the glass are Connecticut wines. So we also have some wines that are from Connecticut, and on the banquet side, they go a little bit further. Now, in Glastonbury, we took it to a new level. We try to stay boutique-y, but we definitely represent a lot of continents there.
You do. I've seen the wine list, and actually, it's actually pretty extensive.
It is. I think so as well.
And actually very reasonable at a lot of the bottle prices.
Well, we're trying to be.
Now, for the customer that comes into your restaurant and is unsure what to drink with a particular dish, would you make a recommendation for them?
We can. I mean, there's also, we go through with the servers and we say, well, this 3 or 4 would go with this dish, and, these over here would go with this dish. And we try to give a couple of different options with what people are eating. And a lot of times what we'll see, and I'll have people call me and say, I'm bringing in this particular bottle of wine if it's real special, and we'll craft a meal around that bottle. And it still only costs $5 to pop it, so it's a heck of a bargain.
So yeah, if you're going to order bring a $100 bottle of wine, it's $5. If you're going to bring a $10 bottle of wine, it's $5.
That's it.
And Jordan, you are still the only person who's made me a delicious beef Wellington. And I will suggest if you're thinking of a beef Wellington, because you have that on your mind, this is the gentleman to call. You can't always do it.
My suggestion is to give me a couple of days' notice, though, for sure.
I hope you're not flooded with responses.
It's all right. We'll take them.
I also want to point out that in the greater Hartford area, you have a few other great BYOB restaurants that we've all tried that I just want to plug only because, we live in the community. We want to have them do well. There's Bon Appetito in Canton, which is really good. There's Elephant Trail in Avon. These are all BYOB. What was the other place?
The Green Papaya?
The Green Papaya, which is another phenomenal place. All wonderful food. You can bring your own wine, enjoy the service, enjoy the food, and support our local restaurants in the area. So I think I'm ready for a first drink tonight.
Absolutely.
And I think we're going to go with the Robert Mondavi Brut. I don't think any of us have tried this yet. It is a value sparkling, under $10, and it happens to be Lady Gaga's favorite. From what I understand, she doesn't do any concerts unless she has at least 2 or 3 cases in her room.
She's a thirsty girl.
She's a thirsty girl. So I don't want to say it's cheap, but it's inexpensive, and it might be just the right type of sparkling if you're having a big party, and flavor complexity might not be the issue. And we're going to put that to the test right now. We are all virgins in this, so
To us.
gentlemen.
Thanks for having me, guys. Smells like Lady Gaga.
It does. Not a bad aroma.
It's light, it's crisp.
Yeah. It's a little warmer than it should be because it's been sitting out for a little while, but I think a little bit crisper. It might be a little bit more flavorful.
You can't hide anything when it warms up a little bit. So
Actually,
there's
that's
nothing to
true.
hide.
So what do you think?
I think it's pretty good.
For the price point?
Yeah,
So we're going to give this one a thumbs up to start off?
I would
Give it a
thumbs
thumbs
up
up.
it,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Thumbs up for Robert Mondavi Brut.
Good job, Robert.
And I think this would pair well with a large party where you're not worried about people's taste buds per se, because they'll be drinking and eating, and this is the kind of thing that people will drink, might not remember, but also not hate at the same time.
Yeah, there's really no distinct aftertaste with this. It just kind of fades away. So it's, it's
It would
certainly
make
not offensive.
a wonderful champagne cocktail half.
And what would you do with this?
So I would put some guava puree in there, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
would love that. That would be wonderful. It would make it a little bit creamier. It would give it that nice exotic aroma and taste. And it's very, very clean, and that would be delicious.
Now, if someone were going to try and make a guava puree at home, how would they do that?
Wow.
Or is this a trade secret?
I
You
I
don't want
never
to give
even
away
thought about it. You know, I got to believe that any of your higher-end grocery stores, if they don't carry guava puree, that if you ask them, they would order it for you. However, we're lucky enough to have a large Latin community here in the Hartford area, and I know for sure that any of your C-Town towns would definitely have guava puree, and if they didn't, they would also get it for you. So it's a very popular fruit amongst the Latin community. So.
What would be the mix for a glass this size, roughly?
How about a tablespoon into a glass?
You heard it here first.
Guava champagne cocktails. Sounds good, right?
Delicious.
All right.
I can't wait to try one.
Should have brought some.
Well, our first tasting this evening has gone over very well, so there's nobody spilling their glass out on the floor. So
It's
that's
early.
very good.
Now, Jordan, you actually brought the second sparkling that we're going to try tonight.
did.
Yes,
Tell
that's
us
very
about that.
important. Yes, please.
Well, there's a reason for it. This is a Moscato that, believe it or not, it smells like roses. And I don't know if everybody knows out there, but, you know, the Pond House obviously is in Elizabeth Park and is home to the Rose Garden. But the swirl on the Pond House logo is not really a swirl. It's actually looking down on a rose. And so we brought this in because we thought it was really wonderful that we could have something that you put in a glass that smelled like roses. It definitely has the rose color, and Moscatos are very, very hot right now. And it's also a wonderful value. You'll be able to find it retail on the south end of $20, and in our spot just on the north end of $20.
And I think it's available locally, I think both at Harvest Wines in Farmington Avenue, West Hartford, and Vintology or Vin...
The Vinotech?
Yes, that's in Farmington on Main Street. And did you have how did you come to picking out this one? Do you have a taster that found this for you?
They
or?
brought it to us.
They brought it to you?
Yes.
Well, now I'm going to bring it to myself.
Nice.
I bought it.
These guys open the wine really good, don't they? It's a nice crisp pop.
Lots of practice.
You know, we talked about this in our champagne and sparkling show. There are some theories that you're really not supposed to pop the champagne. It should open up very quietly. But
Well, there's some people that take the sword and just hack the top of it off.
yes, those Napoleon generals, they really started something with that.
The louder the better, man. Actually, it's not the louder the better. It's the softer the better. But here, we're not serving it.
That's
It's
true.
It's
okay.
more of a
It
We
works.
do want the
Yeah.
effect for
Yeah.
we're drinking something sparkling and festive.
So now, obviously, it's light, but if you look, the bubbles are going straight up, which is definitely a good sign. And they're a nice small bubble. But take a smell, and it's got a wonderful nose.
You know, it's once again about the bubbles. These bubbles are much finer than the...
I was going to make the
agave.
same comment. There's a lot more bubbles here, and they are much finer than...
And as we discussed before, in my opinion, the finer the bubbles, the finer the effervescence is on your mouth.
I love that effervescence. So you think Lady Gaga would like the smell of this?
Well, let's see.
Yeah, I smell a little apple.
There's definitely a lot of apple, and there's some good citrus notes in here as well. But you'll notice that the end overture is roses. And it's
Yes.
very slight, and it's very subtle. But if you taste it, it's at the end. And it's definitely an overture. Very interesting. We fell in love with it right away.
It's quite unique. I don't think I've ever tasted rose.
Me neither.
in wine before.
I said, we'll take a case. That's it.
And Jim, this is technically a rosé. This would not be considered a rosé champagne, would it? Even though...
Because of the color, that's what I'd call it.
Right, but from what our experience has been with a rosé champagne, I don't think you compare this. It's a completely different taste.
Again, I've never tasted anything like this before in a champagne.
Again, the Moscatos are really, really hot this year.
It's really good.
And so that's what's going. So
I would-
everybody go out and grab a bottle. It's delicious. You can't go wrong.
And something on your menu, like say at the Pond House Grill right now, what would be great to
I
eat
mean,
with
you
this,
can have
besides
this.
everything.
You can have this with a burger. This will stand up to the Indian rice. But for me personally, I think this would be a great to go with our duck dish.
Which is one of the ones I haven't had at the Pond House Grill yet, which is distinctly different than the one at the Pond House.
Absolutely. Well, we try to stay the same but slightly different. But
You mentioned the Indian rice a moment ago. How much spice is in that?
it's not spicy at all. It's very subtle. Uh, we have a really amazing curry blend that we blend in-house in both houses, and it's with cashews and pistachios and dried fruit and peas and carrots and a wonderful basmati. Basmati is very aromatic in its own right.
Yep.
So you don't want to hide that. You want to be able to taste that. It's a wonderful dish. I took it off about 4 years ago and I got yelled at by all the customers, so I had to put it back on immediately, and that's pretty much how it went down.
And are you still doing your own house-made hot sauce?
We do. We do the house-made hot sauce. In fact, we're ready to put a bunch of chilies in the ground again. So I know that some people come in and they like to get a steak and they want us to rub some really hot sauce on there before we grill it.
I don't know who he's referring to. But the thing that I like about what Jordan does is the blend between spice and hotness never overpowers the flavor of the steak, which to me is extremely gratifying because I love the hot, but I also love the flavor of the meat. And the combination that I've had usually is always spot on.
We take a lot of pride in our hot sauce and our chilies, and the fact that they're grown in Connecticut. You can buy bottles of hot sauce in both venues, and we're real excited to go into the new season to try some new chilies and put them into the ground and see how we come out.
Do you yourself do any gardening on your own? You probably don't have time with.
We do a little bit of gardening. In fact, at my house just yesterday, we did sunflower seeds and strawberry plants. But we had to take them inside because apparently it's cold.
And apparently we're getting some snow tomorrow night. So what do you know?
That's all right. It won't stick, and it was such an easy winter. So we'll take one last roll with it.
I would think that the mildness of the winter really helped you guys business-wise as compared to last year in regards to the
last year was as everyone knows, one of the worst in history.
Yeah.
But the restaurant business is very picky like that. People always go out to eat. And we find that after the very first snow, whether it's 2 inches or 10 feet, nobody goes out to eat anyway because they forgot how to drive in the snow. But then after that, everybody will muscle up and go out. So.
You get that cabin fever.
Cabin fever's key, man.
Well, I'm getting a sparkling fever, so I'm going to consume the rest of this.
I agree with that. Sparkling.
Now, you mentioned spicy sauce for the steak earlier. When I serve spicy foods, I like to pair that with a sweeter wine, typically a Riesling. Do you have anything that you suggest with spicy steak?
I think a Riesling is a good grape for that. I think a Sauvignon Blanc or a Pinot Grigio goes very well with heat. But I also think that there's a lot of pepper notes and some big reds. And I think that you can match those pepper notes and the big reds with the heat and the capsums of a chili. And that works also. Again, it depends on your palate. Yours is different than yours is different than mine, so it goes back to drink what you want to drink and eat how you want to eat, and everything will work out.
The combination of what he's saying and what we decided when we did this show is almost a great parallel, because we did this show because we wanted the average person to try a lot more different wines than they were comfortable with, to explore their palate with different flavors of wines that they weren't familiar with, similar to food. So when you go to a restaurant or you go to a wine store, whether it's Jordan's Place or any restaurant, don't be afraid to try something different. Just like in a store, if you see a wine that you're not familiar with, give it a shot, because you might love it.
And we also didn't want people to feel like they were locked into a specific type of wine if they were having steak, for example. And typically the old rule of thumb was you'd have a big, bold red cab, and that'd be the only thing you could pair with the steak. And I've been saying the same thing you're saying is
just
drink what you like.
Yeah, drink what you like. Does it stand up better in food theory? It does. But food theory is so messed up. In fact, tonight, and just to let you guys know, this is a tape show, but tonight over in Glastonbury, we're pairing a curry banana timbal with some of that Connecticut lamb that we brought in. So believe it or not, lamb and banana pairs very, very well together.
Interesting.
Now, how do you match up lamb and banana and curry with wine?
It's pretty complicated.
It's complicated. Eat what you want to eat and drink what you like to drink. Figure it out. Well, also remember, you get a couple glasses in, it's gonna match anyway. Right?
You're right.
Yeah, I would probably, in that situation, if it was me and I was trying, I'd probably bring 3 different bottles. Not consume them all, but have 3 different
Just do a little
glasses lined
tasting.
up
Yeah.
with the meal and trying a sip of each wine.
That's a very
before
good
meal.
point, Bob, because also I want to let everybody know that you can bring 5 bottles into a BYOB place, and you can cork them back up and leave with them if you don't finish.
That's true.
So if you want, and which is something that a lot of people don't know. And so if you want to bring 4 or 5 bottles and have 4 or 5 different small courses, and you want to cork them back up and walk with them, you're more than welcome to do that. It still costs you $5 a bottle, over at my spot anyway. But you please understand that there are rules, and you should know what your limits are and what your options are. So this way you can have a half of a glass. And
well, yeah, some of my favorite meals are with wine flights, where I have 3 different wines to try with the meal. And that's actually part of the fun of enjoying the meal.
Absolutely.
So the wine changes with the food, and the food changes the wine, and it's great to have 3 different experiences instead of one.
I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't agree with you more. And I also know that, whatever wine that you have in the first or second course, if you taste it again after the 4th or the 5th course and leave a little bit, it changes.
It does, absolutely.
It gets aerated, and it's just wonderful. It's a different nose, different palate feel. So keep that in mind, too. Maybe you don't want to cork it till the very end. You might want to give yourself a little more, yeah.
Well, I'm very interested about the next one we're going to be tasting. It's Fontana di Papa Bianco, and it's an Italian white. It was recommended to me by somebody who will remain nameless until I taste it, because if it's awful, I don't want to have him be responsible. It is under $10, but it's supposed to. Now, most Italian whites aren't generally complex anyways. They're generally very easy to drink.
They're very simple wines.
Very simple wines, which, with the coming holidays, that's probably what you want. You don't want people to be sitting there analyzing what they're drinking. So we're going to give this a shot and see if this is a simple enough wine to serve for Easter. And still be tasty enough.
What do you guys think?
I taste some pear and a very bitter end, almost like I'm eating the rind of a pineapple.
The rind of a pineapple?
Yes.
Boy, you were hungry growing up, huh? I was eating pineapple rinds.
I don't know. It's not what I expected it to taste like. I expected more of a dry table white.
Yeah, there's no bite to this at all.
This is definitely not a dry table white.
No, I would classify this as more on the sweet side.
It's not dry, and it's definitely sweet.
Not overly sweet.
No, it's not a sticky syrup.
I don't like sweet wines personally. I'm going to wait to make my judgment on this one for a few more moments. Maybe a few more sips will change my thoughts. But
as you taste this, are you starting to think of foods that you would create at your restaurant to pair
No,
with this?
I'm wondering if it would make a good sangria or not, which really is its only shot in my book.
So you want to hide the flavor.
Yeah, not necessarily hide it, but if it is a good value and you're having a nice Easter situation, or would it make a good punch, or I don't know. I wouldn't enjoy this if I was going to sit down and have a bottle of it.
So this might be the kind of bottle you pull out well into an evening of imbibing where people's taste buds maybe have been a little shot already.
Or you don't like them.
Or you don't. Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Oh.
I mean, this is all about judging. I mean, I'm going to, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm leading to give this about a 5.
I agree with you. About right in the middle. It's not bad, but it's not good.
For the price point, and once again, everything you see here is available locally in some of the larger wine stores and the ones that we mentioned earlier. I'll also have them on our webpage. But for the price point, I think this certainly is better than some of the more generic whites that you would serve or buy just to save money. I think this is a little bit more complex than a $2 or $3 bottle of American white.
Right. Or the boxed wines. You know, it's not undrinkable. And again, I'm agreeing with you. I don't think this would be my first choice or my second choice at a party, but if this were all that was left, I wouldn't be afraid to drink it.
And Italian wines have always been interesting to me, Jordan, because they've been making wine for almost if not longer than the French have, and there's still sort of a mixed reputation for Italian wines. And why do you think that is?
Oh, I just think that the French market themselves better. You know, it's the same thing with the food situation. You know, classic French food is supposed to be the really high end. The tablecloth is Scoffier and Paul Bocuse. And In
That was a
Italy,
nice word.
well,
That was good.
in Italy, I personally like Italian food better than French food. I think it's a little more peasant-y, it's a little more rustic, and they're taking flavors and they're taking cooking techniques and they're actually really, really putting their emotion and feeling into their food. Now, you can go from the north down to the south, and it's just different everywhere. And like they say in France, ha ha. And like in Italy, it's more of a way of life for them, the food and the wine. I think the best wines in Italy are the table wines. They don't have a label on them. They don't leave the country. I think in France, the best wines, they put the label on and they try to get big bucks around the world for them. Now, it's a sweeping generalization, and I probably don't know enough about it to say that, but that's my experience.
Well, it's interesting because I was just thinking about what Jordan was saying about Italian cuisine and French cuisine, and I think what you said makes the French look at food as an art, and the Italians look at food as a way of life, more feeling in it. So it's interesting. It's very interesting because I like a lot of Italian whites or a lot of Italian reds, but a lot of people sort of say, Bob, why are you drinking all Italian wines for? And I want to say, because I like them. And there are a lot of good Italian wines out there. So don't be afraid of trying Italian wines, whether it's red or white, even though this one is a mixed review tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Yeah.
Can we go with thumb in the middle, like this way?
Yeah.
We'll do the midway
I do
thumb.
Thumb
this
in the middle
way?
actually is pretty good. We'd actually never thought of the thumb in the middle one.
Thumb
That's
in the
not
middle,
bad.
man. Sometimes being in the middle is a good time.
So in our waning moments, is there anything quickly you'd like to add that might be coming up this spring or summer at the restaurant? That
No,
people might be
that's not
interested in?
why I'm here. I'm here to support you guys, and I'm glad your show is kicking off great. Of course, I would love for all of you to come down and see our new venue in Glastonbury at 2935 Main Street. But that's not really why I'm here. I'm here to support you guys. I'm really happy that a lot of people are viewing. Apparently, there's viewers in Japan and, as Bob mentioned before, out in California. And I'm really, really pleased to be able to be a part of this with you guys. So thank you so much again for inviting me.
Well, I appreciate you being here, and it's been a real great pleasure for me because I've enjoyed your food for so many years. And I'm glad we're able to finally get together out of the restaurant, finally, after all these years, and drink cordially. So, once again, I'm Bobby P.
And I'm James Kimbrough.
And until next time,
Keep us in your wine cellar.